Don't become the family's free babysitter if they refuse to treat you like family. Hi, I'm Emma, and this is the story of how I spent 5 Christmases as an unpaid nanny while my own family celebrated without me. But last Christmas, I finally said enough. It started when I was 13. Christmas Eve 2019, and I was sitting cross-legged on my sister's bedroom floor, surrounded by 4 sleeping kids under the age of 6. Downstairs, I could hear the adults laughing, wine glasses clinking, and my favourite Christmas songs playing. The warm glow from the living room lights filtered up through the gap under the door, and for a moment I pressed my ear against the hardwood floor just to feel closer to the celebration happening without me. Emma will watch the kids, my sister Sarah had announced earlier that evening, not even looking at me when she said it. That way, the adults can actually enjoy themselves. I remember thinking it was just for that one night, maybe an hour or 2 max. I'd helped babysit before during family gatherings, but this felt different. This felt permanent. The youngest, my nephew Jake, stirred in his sleep and I carefully adjusted his blanket. Through the window I could see other houses on our street, their windows glowing with warm family scenes. Kids opening presents, grandparents hugging grandchildren, everyone gathered around dinner tables. And here I was, 13 years old, spending Christmas Eve as a babysitter in my own home. That was my first taste of what Christmas would become for the next 5 years. You see, before Sarah got married and started having kids, Christmas was different. I was part of it. I'd wake up Christmas morning and run downstairs with everyone else. We'd open presents together. I'd help Mum in the kitchen, and we'd all squeeze around the dining room table for dinner. I was family. But something shifted after Sarah's wedding in 2018. Suddenly, family gatherings became about giving the parents a break, and somehow I became the designated break giver. Emma's so good with kids, Mom would say, like it was some kind of natural calling I'd discovered, and she doesn't mind helping out. Except nobody had asked if I minded. The thing is, when you're 13 and someone tells you you're so mature and such a big help, it feels good at first. It feels important, like you're contributing something valuable to the family. But what I didn't realize was that I wasn't contributing. I was replacing. Christmas 2020 was when I started to understand what was really happening. I was 14 now, old enough to recognize patterns. The family would gather at our house around 4 in the afternoon. There would be this excited energy as everyone arrived, hugs, gift exchanges, catching up. And then, like clockwork, Sarah would appear with her 2 kids, and my brother Mike would show up with his toddler and newborn. "Emma," Sarah would call out in that sing-song voice that I was starting to dread. "Can you take the kids upstairs? We're going to start dinner soon, and you know how crazy they get around all the noise." And just like that, I'd be dismissed from the family gathering. The kids and I would head upstairs to what had essentially become my Christmas prison. I'd set up activities, change diapers, break up fights between cousins, and try to keep everyone quiet enough that the adults could enjoy their evening. That Christmas, I remember sitting on the floor of Sarah's old bedroom, now converted into a playroom, listening to the sounds of my family having dinner without me. I could hear Dad telling his terrible jokes and everyone laughing. I could hear Mum talking about her garden and my aunt asking about college plans. College plans I wasn't there to discuss. Around 9 o'clock, Sarah finally came upstairs. "How were they?" she asked, not really looking at me, already scooping up her youngest. "Fine," I said. "Can I come down now? Maybe have some dessert with everyone?" She paused, looking annoyed. "Emma, they're just getting settled down for the night. Can you just help me get them to the car? We'll be leaving soon anyway." That's when it hit me. I wasn't going to get my Christmas back. This wasn't temporary. This was my role now. But the moment that really broke something inside me happened when I was 15. Christmas 2021. By then, there were 6 kids total. Sarah had 3, Mike had 2, and my cousin had recently had a baby. 6 kids, all under the age of 7, and apparently I was the only person qualified to watch them. The family had decided to hire a photographer that year for official family portraits. I was upstairs with the kids when I heard Mom calling everyone to gather in the living room. "Emma's busy with the children," I heard Sarah tell the photographer. "We'll just do the adults first, and maybe add the kids later if they're not too fussy." I crept to the top of the stairs and watched through the railings as my entire family positioned themselves around our Christmas tree. Mum and Dad in the centre, Sarah and her husband on one side, Mike and his wife on the other. My aunt and uncle filled in the gaps. Everyone was dressed in coordinated red and green outfits that had been planned in a group chat I wasn't included in. The photographer snapped away while I stood there in my regular jeans and sweater, holding Sarah's baby and trying to keep the other 5 kids from running downstairs and disrupting the real family photos. Later that night, those photos would be posted all over social media. Family Christmas. Blessed. Love my family. Dozens of likes and comments about how beautiful our family looked. I wasn't in a single one. That's when I started paying attention to the pattern. I pulled up Mum's Instagram and scrolled back through years of Christmas photos. 2021, 2020, 2019. In every single family photo, there were only 7 people. My parents, Sarah and her husband, Mike and his wife, and my aunt. 8 people lived in our house during Christmas gatherings, but only 7 were ever considered worth photographing. I was the invisible family member, the one who made Christmas possible for everyone else but wasn't invited to actually participate in Christmas herself. The worst part wasn't even the photos, though. It was the complete lack of acknowledgement. No one seemed to notice that I spent every Christmas isolated upstairs. No one seemed to care that I never got to eat the special Christmas dinner Mum spent all day preparing. No one thought to save me a piece of the expensive Christmas cake or include me in the gift-opening traditions. I was family when they needed free childcare. I wasn't family when it came time to actually be family. Christmas 2022 was 6 kids and me, now 16, finally starting to feel angry instead of just hurt. I'd been doing this for 4 years. 4 Christmases of being the unpaid help while everyone else celebrated. 4 years of watching Instagram stories of my own family having fun without me. That night, after everyone left and I was finally alone in my room, I did something I'd never done before. I made a list. Hours spent babysitting during family gatherings, 47 hours over 4 years. Christmas dinners missed, 4 family photos excluded from 23 Christmas morning present, opening I missed because I was upstairs with kids. 4 times someone offered to switch places with me. 0 times someone thanked me for sacrificing my Christmas. 0. Looking at that list written out in black and white, I felt something shift inside me. This wasn't normal. This wasn't how families were supposed to work. I wasn't the family babysitter. I was supposed to be Sarah's little sister, Mike's little sister, Mum and Dad's daughter, but somewhere along the way, I'd become the help. That night, I made a decision. Christmas 2023 would be different. I didn't know how yet, but I knew I couldn't do another year of being erased from my own family's celebration. I started by talking to people outside my family. My best friend Hannah was horrified when I told her about my Christmas situation. "Wait, you've never eaten Christmas dinner with your family?" she asked, her eyes wide. "Emma, that's insane. You're not the nanny. You're their daughter and sister." My college counsellor, Ms. Rodriguez, had a similar reaction when the topic came up during a meeting about my applications. "Emma, you have every right to participate in your own family's traditions," she said gently. "Have you ever tried just saying no?" Saying no, it seemed so simple, but it felt impossible. What would happen to the kids? What would my family think of me? Wouldn't that make me selfish? But as months passed and Christmas 2023 approached, I kept thinking about Ms. Rodriguez's words. I had rights too. I deserved to be part of my own family. In November, Mum called me into the kitchen for what I now recognise as the conversation that changed everything. "Emma, honey, I wanted to talk to you about Christmas," she said, wiping her hands on a dish towel. "Sarah's having another baby in January, so this year might be even busier with the kids. I know we can count on you to help out like always." For 4 years, I would have just nodded and said, "Of course." But this time, something different came out of my mouth. "Actually, Mum, I was hoping this year I could join the family dinner instead of watching the kids." She looked at me like I'd spoken in a foreign language. "What do you mean? Who would watch the children?" "Their parents," I suggested. "Sarah and Mike could take turns, or maybe we could hire an actual babysitter." Mom's expression shifted from confusion to something that looked almost annoyed. "Emma, that's not very family-oriented of you. We all have to make sacrifices for family. Sarah and Mike work so hard and Christmas is their one time to relax." "What about my one time to relax?" I asked. "What about my Christmas?" "Your Christmas?" Mom repeated. "Honey, you're part of the family Christmas. You're helping make it special for everyone." "But I'm not part of it," I said, my voice getting stronger. "I haven't eaten Christmas dinner with this family in 4 years. I haven't been in a single family photo. I spend every Christmas alone upstairs while you all celebrate without me." There was a long silence. Then Mum sighed. "Emma, I think you're being a little dramatic. It's just babysitting. Family helps family." That word, just, hit me like a slap. Just babysitting. 4 years of my Christmases were just babysitting. "If it's just babysitting," I said quietly, "then Sarah and Mike can just do it themselves." Mum's face went red. "I can't believe how selfish you're being right now. Do you know how much your sister and brother do for this family?" "Do you know how much I do?" I shot back. "Do you have any idea how many hours I've spent taking care of everyone else's kids while you all had fun without me?" "That's enough," Mom said firmly. "We'll discuss this later when you're being more reasonable." But I was done being reasonable. I was done being invisible. That night, I called Hannah and told her about the conversation. "Good for you," she said immediately. "It's about time you stood up for yourself." "But what if they hate me?" I asked. "Emma," Hannah said seriously, "do you think they love you now? Because people who love you don't erase you from family celebrations for 4 years straight." Her words stung because they were true. When I really thought about it, when was the last time my family had treated me like someone they loved rather than someone they used? Over the next few weeks, I started preparing for Christmas Day. I knew there would be pushback. I knew there would be drama. But I also knew I couldn't spend another Christmas as the family ghost. I practiced what I would say. I researched my rights as a family member, which sounds ridiculous, but I needed to remind myself that I actually had them. I even looked up the cost of professional babysitters in our area, just in case anyone tried to tell me what I was asking for was unreasonable. Most importantly, I prepared myself emotionally for the possibility that my family might choose their Christmas celebration over including me in it, because if 4 years had taught me anything, it was that I couldn't count on them to choose me. Christmas Day 2023 arrived with the same chaos it always did. The doorbell started ringing at 3 in the afternoon, and I could hear the familiar sounds of my family gathering downstairs. Car doors slamming, excited voices calling out greetings, the rustle of gift bags and winter coats being shed. For the first time in 5 years, I didn't automatically head upstairs to prepare the kid zone. Instead, I stayed in my room, getting ready. I'd chosen my outfit carefully. A deep red sweater that Mum had complimented before, nice jeans, and the earrings Dad had given me for my last birthday. I wanted to look like someone who belonged at a family dinner. At exactly 4:30, I heard Sarah's voice echo up the stairs. "Emma, can you come get the kids? We're about to start the appetizers." This was it, the moment I'd been preparing for all month. I walked downstairs slowly, my heart pounding. The living room was exactly as I'd pictured it, everyone gathered around the coffee table, drinks in hand, laughing at something my uncle had said. Sarah was holding her youngest while trying to wrangle her two older kids, and Mike was attempting to keep his toddler from climbing on Dad's back. "There she is," Sarah said when she saw me, already starting to hand over the baby. "Perfect timing. Can you take them upstairs? We just opened a really good bottle of wine, and you know how loud they get when we're all together." I stood there for a moment, looking at my family, really looking at them. They were all dressed nicely, clearly having planned their outfits together again. Mum was wearing the apron I'd given her last Christmas, the one she'd thanked me for while I was heading upstairs to babysit. Dad had his Christmas dad sweater on, the silly one that made everyone laugh every year. Everyone looked happy and relaxed and ready for a celebration I'd never been part of. "No," I said quietly. The room went silent. Sarah, who had been mid-handoff with her baby, froze. "What?" she asked. "No," I repeated, louder this time. "I'm not babysitting tonight. I'm going to stay down here and have Christmas with my family." Sarah's face went through several expressions: confusion, disbelief, and then anger. "Emma, this isn't the time for whatever teenage rebellion thing you're going through. Just take the kids upstairs." "I'm 18, I said, "and this isn't rebellion. This is me asking to be included in my own family's Christmas celebration." Mike stepped forward, his voice taking on that condescending tone older brothers perfect. "Come on, Em. Don't be difficult. We all have to help out with family stuff." "When's the last time you helped out?" I asked him directly. "When's the last time you spent Christmas upstairs with the kids instead of down here with the adults?" He opened his mouth, then closed it, clearly not having an answer. Mum appeared from the kitchen, wiping her hands on her apron. "Emma, we talked about this. I thought you were going to be more reasonable." "I am being reasonable," I said. "I'm asking to eat dinner with my family. How is that unreasonable?" "Because someone needs to watch the children," Sarah snapped, her baby starting to fuss at the rising tension in the room. "God, Emma, when did you become so selfish?" That word again, selfish, for wanting to be part of my own family. "You want to know what's selfish?" I asked, my voice steady despite my racing heart. "I've spent the last 5 Christmases upstairs with your kids while you all celebrated without me. 5 years, Sarah. I haven't eaten Christmas dinner with this family since I was 13 years old." "That's not true," Dad said, but his voice lacked conviction. I pulled out my phone. Over the past month, I'd been preparing for this moment, and part of that preparation involved gathering evidence. "Dad, I screenshotted every Christmas photo from Mom's Instagram for the past 5 years," I said, scrolling through my camera roll. "Want to count how many I'm in?" I turned my phone screen toward the family, photo after photo of Christmas celebrations, the same 7 people, over and over. The dining room table set for 7. The family gathered around the tree, 7 smiling faces. Christmas morning gift opening, 7 people in pajamas holding presents. "I count 8 people in this room right now," I continued. "But somehow every photo only has 7. Every Christmas dinner has 7 plates. Every family memory includes everyone except me." The silence was deafening. I watched my family's faces as they scrolled through the photos, and for the first time I saw recognition. They were seeing what I'd been living with for years. "Honey," Mum said slowly, "you were upstairs with the children. We couldn't just leave them." "Why not?" I interrupted. Why is it automatically my job to leave the family celebration? Why doesn't Sarah take turns? Why doesn't Mike? Why am I the only one who has to sacrifice my Christmas? Because you're good with kids, Sarah said, but her voice was smaller now. And you don't have your own family yet. You have time for this stuff. I do have a family, I said. I have this family. Or at least I thought I did. Uncle Tom, who had been quiet this whole time, cleared his throat. How many hours are we talking about here, Emma? I'd been hoping someone would ask. I pulled out my phone again, where I'd kept detailed notes. 47 hours of babysitting during family gatherings over the past 5 years. That's just Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, and family birthdays. If we count regular babysitting requests, it's over 200 hours of free childcare. I watched the adults do the math in their heads. At standard babysitting rates, that was thousands of dollars of free labour. But your family, Mike said weakly. Family helps family. Exactly, I said. Family helps family. So where's my family when I need help? Who helped me with my college applications? Who came to my school events? Who asked how my day was or what I was excited about or worried about? More silence. I can tell you who, I continued. My teachers, my friends, my guidance counsellor. The people who aren't my family were more interested in my life than the people who are supposed to love me. Sarah's face was getting red. You know what, Emma? Fine. You want to be difficult? You want to abandon your family responsibilities? Then maybe you should learn what that actually costs. She shifted the baby to one arm and pointed at me with her free hand. I've been paying for your college applications. I've been planning to help with your tuition. But if you're not going to be part of this family, then maybe you shouldn't expect family support. The threat hung in the air like smoke. My family waited to see if this would break me, if the fear of losing financial support would send me back upstairs with the kids. A year ago, it might have worked, but over the past few months, I'd been preparing for this possibility too. Okay, I said simply. Sarah blinked. Okay, what? Okay, I'll handle my own college expenses. I've already applied for 17 different scholarships, and I got a job at the campus bookstore. I'd rather pay my own way than owe someone who uses money to control me. The shocked silence that followed was broken by one of the kids starting to cry. Everyone turned to look at the baby, then back at me, clearly expecting me to automatically step in. I didn't move. Someone should probably comfort that baby, I said mildly. Sarah looked furious, but she started bouncing the baby, trying to calm him down. The other kids, sensing the tension, started getting restless too. This is ridiculous, Mike said. Emma, just help out for tonight and we'll talk about this later. No, I said. If you want the kids watched, you can watch them. If you want to hire a babysitter, I can give you the numbers of several reliable ones who charge $20 an hour. But I'm done being the invisible family member who makes your celebrations possible while being excluded from them. Mum stepped forward, her voice taking on that particular tone she used when she was trying to be the peacemaker. Emma, sweetie, let's not ruin Christmas over this. Why don't you just help out tonight, and tomorrow we'll sit down and figure out a better system for next year? I almost laughed. Mum, you've had 5 years to figure out a better system. You've had 5 years to notice that I was missing from every family photo, every family dinner, every family memory. You've had 5 years to ask if maybe I wanted to be part of Christmas instead of just the person who makes Christmas possible for everyone else. We didn't realise, Dad started. You didn't want to realise, I corrected him. Because realising would have meant actually dealing with your own kids instead of dumping them on me. The accusation hung heavy in the room. Sarah was still bouncing her crying baby. Mike was chasing his toddler who had started climbing on the furniture, and Mum was looking back and forth between her children like she was watching a tennis match. Fine, Sarah said finally, her voice sharp with anger. You want to see what Christmas looks like without your help? You want to be part of the adult celebration? Go ahead, sit down, join us, see how much fun it is when there are 6 screaming kids running around. She said it like a challenge, like she expected me to cave once I saw how chaotic things got. Instead, I walked over to the couch and sat down next to my aunt, who had been watching this entire exchange with wide eyes. "Thank you," I said to Sarah. "I will." What followed was the most chaotic Christmas dinner in our family's history. Kids were crying, running around the dining room, knocking over glasses and spilling food. Sarah spent the entire meal chasing her 3-year-old around the table while trying to nurse the baby. Mike's wife looked exhausted trying to manage their 2 kids while actually eating. But here's the thing nobody had considered. It wasn't my chaos to manage. For the first time in 5 years, I ate Christmas dinner with my family. I tried Mum's famous stuffing that I'd been hearing about but never tasted. I listened to Dad's terrible Christmas jokes. I talked to my aunt about her job and my uncle about his new hobby. Was it loud? Yes. Was it messy? Absolutely. But it was also real family time, the kind where everyone participates and everyone deals with the challenges together. Around 8 o'clock, after Mike's youngest had a complete meltdown and Sarah's kids had gotten into a fight over toys, my siblings started packing up to leave. "I hope you're happy," Sarah said to me as she gathered diaper bags and car seats. "This was a disaster." "Actually," I said, "this was the first Christmas I've enjoyed in 5 years." She stared at me like I'd lost my mind. "The first Christmas where I got to be part of my own family," I clarified. After they left, the house was quiet, except for the sound of Mom and Dad cleaning up in the kitchen. I helped them load the dishwasher and put away leftovers, something I'd never gotten to do before because I was always upstairs when cleanup happened. "Emma," Dad said finally, "we need to talk about tonight." I braced myself for the lecture about family obligations and helping out. Instead, he said, "I looked through your mum's photos while you were talking. You're right, you're not in any of them." Mum stopped loading the dishwasher. "Richard, no, Linda, she's right. Look at this." He pulled out his own phone and started scrolling. 5 years of family gatherings and Emma's not in a single photo. How did we not notice that? "Because it was easier not to notice," I said quietly. "Because if you noticed, you'd have to change things, and this way was more convenient for everyone." Mum sat down heavily at the kitchen table. "That's not... We didn't mean..." "I know you didn't mean to exclude me," I said. "But that's what happened. And when I tried to talk to you about it, you told me I was being selfish for wanting to be part of my own family's Christmas." We sat in silence for a while, the weight of 5 years of missed Christmases settling over us. "What do you want from us now?" Dad asked finally. "I want to be treated like a daughter and sister, not like hired help," I said. "I want to be in family photos and eat family dinners and have my Christmas matter too." "And the babysitting?" Mom asked. "The babysitting ends," I said firmly. "If Sarah and Mike want childcare during family gatherings, they can arrange it themselves. I'm not the family nanny anymore." Dad nodded slowly. "That seems fair." But Mom still looked uncertain. "Emma, you have to understand, Sarah and Mike need support too. Parenting is hard." "Mom," I said, "I've been providing that support for 5 years. I've given them over 200 hours of free childcare. I think I've done my part." The next few weeks were strange. Sarah didn't call me at all, which was actually a relief, since usually she called several times a week asking me to babysit. Mike sent a few awkward texts trying to smooth things over, but I could tell he was mostly worried about losing his free babysitter too. In January, I got the news that changed everything. I'd received a full academic scholarship to my first choice college. 4 years of tuition, room and board completely covered. When I told my family, the response was mixed. Dad was proud and excited. Mum seemed relieved that there wouldn't be financial conflict. Sarah was notably silent, but the real test came at Easter. I arrived at Mum and Dad's house to find the same familiar scene: kids running around, adults trying to have conversations over the chaos, and Sarah looking pointedly at me like she expected me to automatically take charge of childcare. Instead, I hugged everyone hello and sat down in the living room with the adults. "Emma," Sarah said after about 10 minutes of chasing her toddler, "could you just help for a minute?" "I'm visiting with family," I said calmly. "If you need help with your kids, maybe ask Mike to take a turn." The look she gave me could have melted steel, but she turned to Mike instead. "Can you please help me with Tyler?" And just like that, the pattern was broken. That Easter, I had my first real conversation with my aunt in years. I got to help Mom in the kitchen, something I'd always wanted to do but never had time for because I was upstairs with kids. I played a board game with Dad and actually got to finish it without being called away to referee a toddler dispute. Was it harder for Sarah and Mike? Yes. Did they have to actually parent their children during family gatherings instead of dumping them on me? Absolutely. But here's what nobody had anticipated. The kids adapted. Without me as their automatic entertainment, they started engaging more with their actual parents. The family gatherings became more authentically familial because everyone was participating, everyone was dealing with the challenges, and everyone was part of the solutions. 3 months later, I graduated high school. For the first time in years, my entire family came to the ceremony, and when we took photos afterward, all 8 of us were in them. Looking at those graduation photos now, I can see the difference. For the first time in 5 years, I'm not missing from my own family's memories. A few people have asked me if I regret standing up to my family that Christmas, if I think I was too harsh or if I should have found a nicer way to handle things. But here's what I learned. There is no nice way to ask people to stop taking advantage of you. There's no polite way to demand basic respect and inclusion. Sometimes the only way to stop being invisible is to make some noise. I'm starting college in the fall, and for the first time I'm excited about coming home for holidays. Not because I'll get to babysit, but because I'll get to be part of my family. Sarah and I are slowly rebuilding our relationship, but it's different now. She can't call me for last-minute babysitting anymore, and she's had to actually hire childcare when she needs it. She's told me it's expensive and inconvenient, and I've told her that's what I was trying to explain to her. Mike has actually become more supportive. I think seeing the situation laid out so clearly made him realise how unfair things had been. He's the one who suggested we start a new tradition where everyone takes turns hosting holidays, with the hosting family responsible for childcare arrangements. Mum and Dad have both apologised, genuinely and repeatedly. They've acknowledged that they let convenience override fairness, and that they failed to notice when I became invisible in my own family. But the most important thing I learned from that Christmas is this: you have to advocate for yourself, even when it's scary, even when people call you selfish, even when there are consequences. Because the alternative, being erased from your own life, while everyone else benefits from your sacrifice, isn't actually an alternative at all. If you've ever felt like you don't matter in your own family, like your needs and wants are less important than everyone else's convenience, I want you to know something. You deserve to be seen. You deserve to be included. You deserve to have your Christmas, your holidays, your family time matter too. Don't let anyone convince you that asking for basic respect and inclusion makes you selfish. And don't let anyone use phrases like "family helps family" to justify treating you like unpaid help rather than a beloved family member. You are not the family babysitter. You are not invisible. You matter. And sometimes the people who are supposed to love you most need to be reminded of that.